What's going on, guys? It's Donovan here, and welcome to Overwatch League news video. We have two stories that have come out this week. One of them around Florida Mayhem, and another one for New York Excelsior, which we will get onto. But we're gonna start with this Florida news because, oh my god, haven't had the best start. Let's say they've taken 2 maps, lost 6, drawn 1, -4. They're below London in the league, which is hilarious. Um, But yeah, I'll read this out. So, a mid-season competitive update from Mayhem HQ. Please join us in wishing Checkmate good luck in his new role this weekend. He's going to be playing the main tank role from playing a flex DPS. Before we get into this, we're gonna go because we got some analyst opinions down here. And as you can see, Mitch and So aren't very impressed by this. Yeah, this I don't know why they're doing this. Like, you're the more the main tank player here. Just what are your thoughts here?
I I don't know what they're getting at. Yes, I understand OG has been, having a rough go of it as of late. He hasn't looked like the OG we saw in May or even in June, really. But I don't think that's a good enough excuse to move somebody who hasn't played all season, and B, a flex DPS player into that main tank role because he plays tank on ladder. I don't think that's a good enough excuse for the Mayhem to switch something around. Yes, I could see them signing a new main tank or even subbing in one of their other backup tanks, if they even have any at this point, to take over for OG for a little while and give him rest and let him figure out what's going on. But just throwing Checkmate into the fire like this on a role he's never played in Overwatch League, as far as I know, is not a good idea. Because, yes, good, he played him on ladder. He's practiced on ladder. Ladder's not Owl. As many Owl players that play on ladder is not the exact same thing as Overwatch League. There's a lot more that goes into being a good main tank in Overwatch League that you don't have to bring over into competitive ladder in Overwatch, because not everybody who plays competitive ladder is an Overwatch League player. So there are not only are there worse players on ladder, sometimes even better players on ladder than those in the Overwatch League. It comes down to skill and communication in the league. And the main tank has to have that communication, and I don't think Checkmate's going to have that communication or that chemistry.
No, and just to pick up on something you said there, one of them, I believe it's one of the casters. I think it was either Mitch or somebody on the desk asked them if they'd actually looked into finding a replacement or somebody could sub in for OG. They're not interested in going into the free agency market at all. They said nothing fit their style, and they should have found somebody, even if it was from something from the Mayhem Academy. Like, it's just somebody who's played the role, even at contenders level, is better than somebody who's not played at all in these kind of settings. Because yes, contenders doesn't always can relate to the league, but still, it's still that team setting that is so important. And having that communication with your team that somebody from this Mayhem Academy team could have that Checkmate might not have. And it perfectly ties into our New York also role with their switch actually coming down to wanting more communication. So this Mayhem, they're on a 5-loss streak at the moment, and I don't see it getting any better from here.
Right. It
They're
baffles me because even if they are talking about just strictly, on ladder, like he's played them on ladder, they're better tanks on NA ladder, on KR ladder, on EU ladder that you could go out and sign who don't play Owl. Take, for example, just because I have it in the background as we're doing this, Flats. Like, there are guys out there who have the potential to be Overwatch League players and are good at their role, and you're moving a DPS to main tank who, yes, you let him out and you let him play last week, but that's because you were losing. Like, that's not a good sign. for the Mayhem, and I think it's just gonna. I think it shows that the Mayhem just don't know what to do anymore
They
with
had
their team, at least right now.
they had that 3-1 run in May, and maybe that was a fluke. Maybe they had better, they had easier games. They got into the tournament itself and got third place. But it's just gone wrong for them consistently. And as you were saying, Checkmate came in for BQB for a couple of games last week. And that's just mainly because BQB wasn't doing well. So now you're going to put BQB back in with somebody who's just started this role. Maybe there'll be some improvement on BQB, but like, they're not. This isn't the sign of a team who know what they're doing. And
Not at all.
you look at all of the comments from all of the analysts, all of the commentators for the Overwatch League. They've seen this happen before with other teams. They know it's not worked. And
Right.
so when you've seen people who have been in this sphere for that long and seen teams fail with it, and they're giving you their honest feedback, surely
It's just not a good look, and it's not even just because I know we've been talking about the casters. It's not even casters; it's other players on ladder. It's other players in the league. They're all just as confused as the fans are right now as to why this is going on. Nobody sees a reason for this to happen, but apparently Florida does. So good on you, Florida, I guess, for wanting to take a chance on your guy.
I'm just gonna make this comparison. This is like when Paris lost their off support. Oh, sorry, their off tank. That was like putting Only God onto off tank because they lost their off tank. No, they didn't do that. They went and found Vestola from the British Hurricane. They brought him up, and look how that went. That went really well for them. I don't know why they didn't look in contenders at all. Like, yeah, sure, free agency. Yeah, there's nobody there that you want. That's fine. But you have a contenders team. You have a load of different teams in contenders that you could have looked at to try and say, okay, maybe they're good. You've had all week. Paris did it in 2 days. 48 hours, and they found a main tank, off tank for their team. And you're not even going to bother to do that. The question is, do they want to win? Is that...
I really don't know. I don't know anymore.
Oh. So, it's enough ranting about the Mayhem. We have a more positive thing to talk about here. The New York Excelsior have actually brought somebody back into the league who was in the inaugural season team for the Boston Uprising. The Boston Uprising, I believe, did very well in the inaugural season.
I believe so.
So they brought on Kalios back as their main tank. Off tank.
Off tank.
It said main role. Yeah, as their off tank. So obviously a sub for Bianca, or possibly even a just a straight like for like replacement, and put Bianca on the bench because as I found out Yakpung and Carlos have actually had synergy. They played on the Oasis Contenders team I believe a few years ago. So they have that chemistry there, and the reasoning behind this was that Bianca has not been very influential in games at all. She doesn't make the team shout, she doesn't make calls, she's just basically a silent diva. And whilst he has had some good plays, like we were saying with Florida, you need that communication. And yes, Jack Pung is the leader, but he can only do as well if he has his tank partner backing him up. And I think this is a very good thing for the New York Excelsior to bring in this player who can have that synergy with Yakpo because they've obviously had it before.
Right. I think this is less of a I think it's also a small reflection on Bianca, which is upsetting because Bianca was finally. I know we talked about this a couple of days ago, but Bianca was finally finding his stride and was really sort of coming into his own with NYXL after sort of looking almost out of place during the first couple of months. And it's upsetting as an off tank to see, a diva sort of fall to the wayside like that. But I think it's also smart to give your main tank that synergy that he needs and the ability to play around his off tank a lot more instead of just having to make the call on his own and not having anything coming out of your off tank and having the call like, oh, we can do this here, or we can combo this into this, that sort of thing. But it's just unfortunate to see a rookie who is doing really well for himself sort of get put on the back burner all of a sudden, almost out of nowhere.
Yeah, and not only that, it's not only the bringing them in somebody who's been more creative. It's not only it's something that's affecting the tank line; it affects the support line as well. Because if your off tank goes in and they're nowhere near the healers, and they can't get to them and keep them up. And as you know, as the way the Overwatch League plays the game is, the tanks are there to create space, and they're there to slow down the cart or to push the cart, so then DPS can get picks, and then so the supports can basically back them up like that. And if the off tank isn't doing that, or is just doing his own adventure, then you can't play. You cannot play the game as well. You can't cooperate as a team as well. Just because you have that vital element missing from the team. And yes, he was doing very well. He had some really good plays, and the NIXL made it to Hawaii in the last cycle. But I think having that extra padding there does help. I don't think Bianca is gonna go completely to the white side. I think that they're still gonna try and incorporate him in. Because obviously he's done decently well. This is just extra support, but I still feel like they need somebody. They need a partner for Jonak. Because yes, Friday is a good break at times, but I just feel like their main support is their weakness, and they're not finding anybody there to fix that hole.
Right. And I mean, I know you didn't mention it, but there is also, I don't know if we should talk about this here, but unfortunately, um, Chengdu's off tank,
Yes.
I believe. Yes, their off tank retired as well this week. Unfortunately for Chengdu, you're losing a very very good player. Uh, but hopefully it opens up a space for.
Blake Young, who they did actually play last week. They put him in for a couple of games. He didn't do too well, but also retiring has sort of come out of nowhere. He was doing really well on that Chengdu team. He was actually the only player, along with Leaf, who was actually getting consistent game time. And this is a whole different issue with the Chengdu Hunters. Of their roster is so big, they're making these team changes, and it's not working out for them. You've got Jimmy on like the hit scan who's not doing what he should be. He's not getting the picks. He's missing easy shots. Their support line is just completely all over the place. You've got Faraway, Nisha, Ivotal coming in at different points and just not having the synergy because they're not used to working with each other. They just don't have a solid duo throughout this entire team, and it's reflecting for how well they're doing in the league. Because for a team with this much talent, they should be doing a lot better. Another thing, they have actually also let go of Kaneki, who came in the last week of qualifiers for the June Joust. He didn't do too well. He let him go basically right away, and then promoted Taro Cookie from their Chinese contenders team. But yeah, there's a lot of issues with the Chengdu Hunters at the moment, and it's to be seen if they're going to be able to pick it up for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So
I mean, hopefully something goes right for them eventually.
you'd hope so. With that much talent, you'd hope that something turns around for them. But it's rough at the moment for Chengdu. I mean, having a 1-3 qualifier is going to sting no matter what, and I believe they're 1-1 at the moment. Double check that.
Hmm.
Yes, it's rough. I hopefully. I mean, they got the Valiant coming up, so they'll get a win. But as done beating, they're a team who seem to have sort of solidified the fact that they can beat the bottom teams,
But they
and
can't get
they,
up to those tops at all.
no. So hopefully, I mean, they've always been this team who have perfected the ball comp, but they've not really experimented elsewhere, and they haven't really perfected anything else elsewhere. So, hopefully something changes. So yeah, main news story really was the Florida Mayhem going off the rails. Chengdu Hunters, obviously, they have another retiring player. There's a lot of retirements going on this season. I mean, some of these players have been playing since 2018, so
Yeah. It's unfortunate to see a lot of these inaugural season veterans, or not even inaugural season, just early season vets, just sort of up and leave almost out of nowhere a lot of the time, because a lot of teams don't give an explanation for why they're leaving. They just say they left for their own reasons, like we saw with Shock and Striker. There wasn't really no reason for Striker to leave other than, I guess, personal business
burnout.
for now. But it's just unfortunate to see a lot of these guys who, if you've been a fan of Overwatch League for a long time, that you sort of watched grow into these contenders or these championship winning players, just retire all of a sudden.
I do think one thing you gotta remember, especially with Overwatch League retirement, is they could get their spark for the game back. We've seen that with Arms, and we've seen that with Pine, who's come back. They're retiring for now, but they're never rule out a player coming back. And I think Striker will come back eventually if he gets that player for the game back. But for now, it's
Hopefully.
unfortunate. I mean, it would be weird not to see Striker in the league. He was really good on that Boston team, and then obviously we all know what he did for the Shock. So hopefully he comes back eventually. But until then, we're gonna end this video here. That I know, great segue. So if you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you for the Preds video tomorrow, which will be, actually no, it's out. Go check out the Preds video, and we'll see you for the next video. Goodbye.